Welcome, seminary teachers. Our covenant responsibility to share the gospel, life lesson 196. I got some great strategies and ideas that help you have a wonderful, engaging lesson. Now, I'm just a friend giving you a hand and not an official representative of FSNI. I don't have an official assignment or calling, and I don't represent the church in the sense of these are all the opinions of mine. It's kind of like in the author of a book, so to speak. But I have some strategies that I use with the existing teacher manual that add some life to it and some movement and some engagement for the students. Now, throughout these videos, throughout this lesson, you'll see I have some of these videos, Love, Share, and Invite. And the church did a whole series on it, and they're just beautiful. They're simply beautiful and peaceful and spiritual, and I love the way they feel. And so I've scattered them throughout this. Now, depending on how much time you have, it will depend on how many you can share if you choose to share them. And so I think I did like 3 or 4, but it's just kind of a nice mix. We got study time, time with a neighbor, and then sharing and explaining to each other, mix in with a video to really add the spirit because they're so powerful. And then also we have a role play scenario to help them learn to love, share, and invite. So that's kind of the setup. This is straight from the teacher manual. And then I go to this lesson can help you deepen your understanding of covenant responsibility to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And this activity, select a person, create a brief description for that person. This could include name, where they're from, details of their family, challenges they are facing. And so I use the example, Sally here is from Georgia. She is living in a single family home, and her mother has, they have 3 siblings, so she's got 4 kids. Her mom's a single mother and working a lot to provide funds for the family, so things are really challenging for them. And then I say, okay, so then I have each pair share their situation, or 3 or 4 is all you need and then that leads in straight to what are 3 truths you would want this person to know about God, Jesus Christ, the restored gospel. And my follow-up question is, how do you think these truths could bless these people? So quietly they wrote, and I had some quiet music as they wrote down their 3 answers. Share with your teammate, and then get one of those 2 to share with the class, just one truth, and go around to multiple people, share those truths. And you got them in pairs. I say, okay, rock, paper, scissors, your teammate to see who shares with the class, and then one of them shares. And this slide is a great intro. As part of the Abrahamic covenant, God has promised us the blessings of his priesthood, eternal family, celestial kingdom. Now, when I say the blessings of his priesthood, I like to explain the power of Jesus, the power of Jesus Christ, like spread the power of Jesus Christ throughout the world. That's because these 2 eternal families and celestial kingdom, that's something in the next life, right? But we need Jesus Christ's power right now to help us have great families and to overcome the struggle so we can have eternal families. So the blessings of his priesthood, I do that because I don't want the girls to think this has nothing to do with them. Of course, it deals with covenants, things like that. But when you simplify it as the power of Jesus Christ and the blessings of power of Jesus Christ, everybody can relate and connect to that. Now, throughout the class, I'm going to move students, and every time I have them move, before I have them move, I say, turn to your neighbor, give them a high five and a compliment. I came up with some fun ones with the help of chat, yeah, and then like, hey, just by the way, you are elite human. Elite human alert, seminary teachers, you're elite. Thank you for joining us in this journey. And when they then move, when they pair up with a new partner, I give them one of these mission questions. And, where do you personally stand on the mission question? Do you want to serve a mission or not? Where are you at? And that's okay if you haven't decided. No problem. But these are some questions. I just give them one to talk with their new neighbor, and then we jump into the study activity. And For Abraham 2, 9 to 11, I'm challenging them to explain a verse and what it means and to explain phrases. So up to this point, and I got new students in January, so we've been together 8 or 10 or 11 times. And to this point, it's like find phrases, mark them, tell your teammate why you like it. Now it's like, can you explain a verse phrase by phrase? It's a higher order of thinking and processing. And it's one of those learning strategies, not just to read, but now you have to explain it. It helps you to learn along the way as you're explaining. So if you're not sure what it means, explain what you can, and it will help you break through more understanding. And so I start by explaining this one. And I will make of thee, Abraham, a great nation. In other words, he will have lots of posterity. And at this point, he has 0 kids. So this is an incredible promise. I will bless thee above measure. I will give you incredible blessings and make thy name great among all nations. In other words, eventually every nation will know about you, Abraham. And here we are thousands of years later talking about Abraham. And literally millions of billions of people know the name Abraham. And thou shalt be a blessing unto thy seed after thee. In other words, Abraham, you will be a blessing to your posterity. That in their hands, your posterity's hands, they shall bear this ministry, meaning the gospel, the missionary work, and priesthood, the power of Jesus Christ and God, unto all nations, to the whole world. I say, okay, before I explain that, I said to him, I want you to follow along and mark as I explain. You try to comprehend, and then you're going to explain it to your teammate. So I go through and explain it. Now I said, okay, now you turn to your teammate and you try to explain it. And your teammate, after you're done, is going to try to explain it to you. And so they help each other out. And that is next level thinking. Then I say, okay, let's do 2:10 now, verse 10. And this is on their study page, which, by the way, study page, PowerPoint, in the show notes on YouTube for you to download. I will bless them, all nations, through thy name, Abraham, or Israel. Now, Israel also becomes the family name of Abraham's descendants and posterity. And so they are familiar more with Israel because of President Nelson's commissions and talks about Israel. But for as many as receive this gospel shall be called after thy name, Israel. So whoever joins the church and receives the gospel, they become part of the family of Israel as well, or descendants of Abraham. And shall be accounted thy seed, again, his relatives, because we're adopted into the family of Israel when we join the church. And shall rise up and bless thee, Abraham, as their father. In other words, we all salute our father, Abraham, as one of our posterity, our forefathers, so to speak. At this point, I say, turn to your teammate and share it. Now try to explain it, phrase by phrase, to your teammate. The other one goes. Okay? And at that point, high five your teammate, rotate, give them a compliment. I read out a mission question. They ask their new teammate. Let's watch this video. That kind of settles them down. It's beautiful, inspired video. Young lady shares her story. And then we go to Abraham 2:11, which is the challenging one. And I say, okay, now I'm going to explain this one. Then you're going to explain it with your teammate. So follow along, mark some things. I will bless them that bless thee, Abraham. In other words, if people bless thee, I will bless thee. Bless them. And curse them that curse thee. So if they curse thee, Abraham, I will curse them. In other words, God's going to stand behind Abraham and Israel. And just for the sake of this, I skipped these parentheses. Now, you may not want to, but this is just me. And in thy seed, and in thee, and in thy seed. The same thing. Jesus is going to stand with us. For I will give unto thee a promise, that this right shall continue in thee, the right of the priesthood, or the power of God, shall continue with thee, and in thy seed after thee. So he's saying, Abraham, you will have the power of God, the power of Jesus, and your posterity, if they're righteous, will have the power of God and of Jesus. And shall all the families of the earth be blessed. In other words, all the families of the earth are going to be blessed through the descendants of Abraham, the house of Israel. Even with the blessings of the gospel, children of Israel are going to carry the gospel to the world, which are the blessings of salvation, even eternal life. And so the descendants of Abraham, Israel, is going to be commissioned to go take the gospel to the world and share the blessings of salvation and the power of God, Jesus Christ's power, priesthood power, with the world. So now turn to your neighbor and try to explain that. They do the best they can. That's okay. No judgment. Just do the best you can. We want them trying to explain. Okay, we're going to go to another video maybe if you want to. If not, now you could high five your teammate, rotate, find a new person, another missionary question, and then let's get to Elder Bednar's quote. Now, I want you to quietly read this by yourself, and you are going to explain it to your teammate. And so when they're done, I gave them just a minute with some quiet music. Person 1, explain it. Person 2, I would like to add. And now what I'm trying to do here with this phrase is get them to listen, pay attention a little bit better, and to create kind of a conversation. So they're listening and then thinking, and now I would like to add. And so that's kind of what so you could turn to your neighbor. Do you want to explain it or do you want to add to it? And they decide, and then go. Give them a minute to do that. If you want, you could get somebody to try to explain it to the class and somebody to add. And say, Tom, will you explain this to the class? Billy, will you listen carefully for something you could add to it? And then I had them write down this on their paper, their study page, just the principles straight out of the teacher manual. And then, okay, let's high five each other, rotate, find a new missionary buddy, watch a video. Not a missionary buddy, but ask them a missionary question, and then play a missionary video. Now, before I got to the next slide, which was about Preach My Gospel, I said, by the way, do any of you know the name of the book that missionaries study to train missionaries? What's the name of that book? Do you know? Ask your neighbor if they know, and just see how many people know. No, I had about a third that knew what it was called. It's called Preach My Gospel. Now we're going to go read a little bit of Preach My Gospel, which is a beautiful, beautiful 3 paragraphs, easy to understand, and just, I love them. Many of these people are searching for purpose in life. I love that. Okay, and so you read quietly by yourself, mark some things, share with your teammate. Now let's get something to share with the class. Then I take them to this little video, which is teenagers sharing the gospel. Well, it's just extending invitations like, hey, I'm speaking in church, or I have a youth activity. You want to come? And so from there, I play that video, and then from there, I said, okay, let's practice it. Missionary invitations. Hey, I'm speaking at church this Sunday. So you got the missionary and the friend, and you decide, okay, you want to be the missionary first or the friend first? I read through it, explain what we're doing, and say, okay, ask your neighbor, you the missionary first or the friend? Okay, missionary, ready, go. And this takes like 30 seconds to go through this, but it's just a practice to get them in the mindset of thinking of this. You might say, high five your teammate, rotate, give them a missionary question, and now let's do another role play. Hey, we are doing, whatever I think could be a fun activity for the role play, just make it up. Hey, we're doing volleyball tonight. Hey, we're playing basketball. We're playing, airsoft. We're doing laser tag. What would you like to do? Would you like to come join our youth group? And I'm just trying to get the teenagers in the mindset that we do so many fun activities, young men, young women, that would be easy to invite our friends to. Let's just start inviting our friends to those and, help them take a step towards just connecting with the members of the church a little bit more. And then ask this question. So now that we've done that role play, what experiences have you had trying to love, share, and invite? And I ended up with this video. Now there's some others there for you to look through and pick through, but I ended up with this video, which is one of my favorites. Quorum goes from 1 member to about 22 members because they just kept extending invitations, inviting their friends, and who invited their friends, who invited their friends. And 25 people came to church on a consistent basis in this quorum. Such an amazing story. And end up with these straight out of the teacher manual. Today I learned, today I learned, today I learned. Those are straight out of the teacher manual and on the study page for you. And there you go. That is an awesome little lesson. A little challenging because of those scriptures, but I love pushing them to process scriptures at a higher level and to encourage them, say, I know you can do this. It's going to be a little bit of work, but you can do this. And as you're trying to explain, more will come to you. So just keep trying to explain it, and more will come to you. And what a great tool that we can use in multiple places. And so these strategies are awesome, and I hope you enjoy them. You have a great day. You're amazing teachers. You're doing God's work. Have a great day.